Hi and welcome. This is Angela, and I'm just getting the live stream connected to Instagram. And I took a week off last week, and I'm wondering how you are all going with how things are going in the world. Seems like there's a lot going on. And today I wanted to share on how, in the face of change, how to be you. We can get philosophical about what you is, but being you is often formed and shaped in conflict, in change. We are formed in change, and this is something I've explored in the dance since I can remember. Whenever you dance, you're always dealing with change. You're dealing with movement and the constant flow of movement. It could be music. If you do the same song again and again for a show, even that is different every time you do that choreography or that dance or that show. So I've been fascinated with change through dance and how to take these principles of facing change, embracing change, or being in the middle of change, in the process of change. I've been fascinated by how that works in dance and how to translate some of those skills and experiences in your body about how to be in the middle of change to our lives, to how we face change in our lives. And it's a large reason why I teach dance, because it gives you life skills that go into the body and are deep and that evolve with you as you go through life. So whatever you get in the dance class with practice and repetition of that experience of the self in movement, facing a new movement, listening to a new piece of music and your body responding to it, that's all about being you in change. So I'm going to pause a little bit to focus on what you are. A few weeks ago, I said you're a being of light. You are a being of light. But this sounds a bit, so what? So what if you're a being of light? When you're in the middle of chaos, or you could be in a conflict or in a zone where things aren't really working well, or a relationship that's not safe, how can you be a being of light in that moment? And this is where some of the facets that I've learned through dance have come really, really important. How do you actually be in change when there is not certainty, when there is not clarity of how you're going to respond? Because there's no formula. Maybe it's a whole new experience. Maybe it's, we just had an experience last week where there was a scam going on through the internet, and we got swept up into it. But the internet scam was a new thing. It was a new thing that we had discovered. So we weren't prepared. We weren't aware of it. And then we had to take the steps to resolve it. First, to understand that it was a scam, and then take steps to resolve it. But when things appear to be legit or appear to be normal, but you find out they're not, that's a response that's required to face the current circumstances, and you're not on clear ground. So going back to you, who you are in that process, in facing whatever situation, it could be a chaos situation, it could be lack of clarity about what's expected of you, it could be a situation where you're feeling overwhelmed with anxiety or emotions, or you could just feel unexcited by the situation of the world. And going back to that sense of you is something that, for me in the dance, was essential, because you can spend the whole of your life dancing certain movements and performing and expressing and putting on a smile for a show. But what is that you in the dance that constantly comes to the rehearsals or the dance space or to the partner when you come to partner dancing. What is that you? And what I discovered was the you was that center channel of myself in the dance. Of course, the center is that heart. And then the crown was the energy center above the heart, and the feet, which connect to our root, grounds us in the earth. It's that center core that no matter what movement form we're moving in, you're always moving out from and into. And that core, interestingly, is changing when it comes to dance, when it comes to energy work. You might be a dancer, you might know this, you might feel something, but that core it's getting a different frequency. I call it the new energy body. It's something that happens over 50 to 150 years. And especially at these times when we're moving from an old era into a new era, we're in the middle of it. We are that change. You are change. You are becoming the new era. So you're going to feel discomfort. You're going to feel like, where is my center? Or what is my center? I thought that was myself, and now it's gone, that sense of self. Or you develop insecurity about the sense of self, and you go through some paranoia, and then you go into another sense of looking for something to solve your paranoia or distraction and avoidance through other things. And finally you're left with yourself again, and you have to find it. You're always going to come back to the self. So in dance, for us, that's always exhibited by when we're moving to our partner, we're always moving towards the partner and coming back to the self, or you're reaching away from the self, reaching out from the self. And it's just like the in-breath and the out-breath. It's the same thing, but we move it through the body, and we have that center channel here. So the sense of self that's changing, what I've experienced in the dance, that center channel, what is changing is how we connect that center channel to the earth that we stand on, which is going through change. Our planet's going through enormous change through earth movements, through political movements, through our sense of self, our sense of culture, our sense of differences between the cultures. So many cultures are merging now and cross-pollinating. And even species are also disappearing and dying, and other species are taking over in the natural world as well. So there's this whole realignment of the structures and the relationships between each other, humans and other species, and just the climate and how that all operates on the earth. So there's enormous change. So what is changing in that sense of self is how we connect to the earth and how we connect to spirit. It is changing, and it means that center channel is going to vibrate differently. It's going to feel different. You're going to have different thoughts even. You're going to have different feelings about the future or about your present. So something I'd like to share about change. When it feels discomforting, you're not comfortable with change, that's an extraordinary point to just see and be in. It can be uncomfortable, can bring up fear, it can bring up all sorts of thoughts, sometimes a lot of rubbish. And that's important to see. When you're in the change or the feeling of I can't connect to where I am in myself anymore because the world outside is so different, that's an important point. In the dance, how we experience it, it's definitely through the feet and how we connect to earth. In fact, in most dance, what you're doing at the very beginning is stepping with the feet to get that connection from the feet to the earth. It's through all folkloric dance. It's through all modern dance. We get back into the feet to connect. And when our very earth is through this, going through this enormous change, we really start to feel, how do we connect back through the feet to the heart and to the sense of that self, which may be also going through change. So you're allowing the earth to move through the feet, up through to the center of the body, to move through your heart and up to the crown. And in dance, what we've discovered is that there's no time where you are not yourself. It's just that you may be experiencing a lot of the different energies that you're dancing in. So if I'm dancing in Sydney, it'll be different to dancing in Melbourne. Or if I'm dancing in the West Coast, it'll be different to dancing on the East Coast. So there are those general differences, and you are different. You are different from the morning to the night. You are different from one day to the next. So each time we dance, you begin to build that sense of the self in flux. You're different each second, each moment. And if we put music on, we're adding another opportunity to respond to that music, to bring something out. For me, when I put on the same music track, some music track over many, many decades, I've played this one track. And it evokes a memory of perhaps my first experience of the song. But in the moment, I find myself responding to the song from a different feeling, a different sense of self. And that's the secret I've found with dance. We can learn how to feel ourselves in the moment. And that's the main thing I wanted to impart today, that when we're going beyond time, beyond space, beyond our concepts of self, what are we using as our skill as a human being, as a human species? It's our ability to feel in that moment. And it's the safest resilience skill to develop, to cultivate. When you feel in the moment, you can understand if there are things that are not good for you, and you can understand how to go inside before attacking, to use better thinking because you're not responding from a panic response perhaps, or from overstimulation from too much stress from the outside world. So I just wanted to finish with a little bit of my experience of the last few weeks of February as well. And we're coming up to the anniversary of one of the wars that started this whole new sequence after the pandemic. And it's a feeling that globally we're not really confident about who we are. And that's why some of my video topics now are about you. Who are you? Who are we? How is what I teach, the dance, one portal into embodying that or experiencing that in more fullness or in more depth or more joy? Because it doesn't matter if you don't have confidence in who we are as a species. In the moment, what matters is who you are and how you share that and feel who you are in a way that gives. And I don't think it's confidence here anymore. I think it's that sense of no matter who we are and how we're evolving, there is something that we want to achieve as a collective now. And it's very weird. It's different. This Aquarian age where we're all collective together, we're all different, but we're all one. We don't know what that looks like on this earth. It's perhaps happened thousands of years ago, but we don't have it in our conscious memory. It's in our unconscious. And our conscious selves will doubt, will question, will freak out about what's going on in the world and what's the potential future. And our emotional selves will also be disturbed by death and the suffering that people are experiencing. And what I've also learnt is that we will project that fear on our environment. And in the dance, the one thing I learned, especially when I didn't know what I was doing and improvising in the dance, always something would come. There was always some impulse, some creative gift that was moved through my body, or I just felt this feeling come from nowhere to move in such a way. And I wasn't thinking, it was moved through me. And that's the feeling we can cultivate in these times when emotional fears come or thought projections come about what's going on, where are we going, is to stop and feel, and to feel where you want us to go. Is that a negative? place that you're thinking that you want us to go? Is that what you want? What do you really want? And this is where we're starting to learn, a lot of us, that when we project what we want into the future, we are going beyond time, we are going beyond space, and we're even going beyond who you think you are into this new self that hasn't been experienced yet. It was what was heralded in the dawning of the age of Aquarius. They said this. We would become a collective species that had a new sense of the self. But we don't know what that is. And all I can share is in the dance, just to allow yourself to feel outside of your own thoughts, outside those emotions, to what you really want to experience, and allow yourself just to feel it. For me, it's dance. For you, it might be just watching something that makes you feel more connected to your heart. It could be reading, it could be going to the gym and allowing yourself to move some energy out. What is it that you really want for us as a collective? I've said this in some other videos as well. We need to focus on that, not from a fantasy place, but from a sense that beyond this moment, we are always creating a future, and our fears and thoughts will be creating that. And beyond that, beyond the fears, beyond the thoughts, beyond our hurts, beyond our suffering, beyond our concepts of who we should be or who we are, it's this other self waiting to emerge. And that is very, very exciting. It's extraordinary, actually. I have some other things to share about that new self that I'm starting to feel, but the words haven't come yet. I've been experiencing it through the Soma, which is the blessed water coming through the avatars, Sri Ama Bhagavan. And it's extraordinarily non-verbal, so it's hard for me to put words to it. And I've been using dance and sharing some of the feelings of dance to try and explain how it's an experience. It's not a concept. And in a few upcoming videos, I'll start to talk about that who you are, the being of light, how that could be experienced now collectively and individually for us very, very differently from maybe what we have in our conscious history, our current history of the last 5,000 years that we have records of. But I feel as a species we have some dormant memories of that new self that's emerging, that is about being a being of light in this body. So thank you for watching. I look forward to hearing how you've been experiencing some of this month of February. It's a very intense time, and I look forward to sharing more about how you are a being of light and how that feels like for you. If you could share in the comments too, when you get that sense of yourself as a being of light that's beyond the limits of your sense of self. I'd love to hear what that might feel like for you. Thanks so much for watching.